ellipses at the top of your display, you should be able to find a transcription for this particular meeting. Again, for those of you who have been here before, this is a training session. It's going to continue bi-weekly until the end of first quarter, but we would like to see what feedback you have about how we move things after the new year begins. This again will be made available to you once I am back in the office. But let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Cecilia Hemley. For those of you whom I haven't met quite yet, I am the product manager for the Drupal website and additional digital solutions here at Tyler Technologies. And our goal today is to go through these items so that you feel empowered to make the necessary changes on your website. And if you have additional staff members at your organization that have not been able to do this training, please share this link with them so that they are able to make edits on the Drupal 10 sites. Okay, so let me go ahead and change over to our website. The website that I am going to be using is our cms.colorado.gov. The first thing that I wanted to share is and I'm basing a lot of this off of the questions that we have received through partner support to make sure that we address any questions or concerns that you may have. When you access your website, you want to enter your domain. And after that domain, you want to do a / and you want to enter the term user. That is going to take you to your login screen where you're going to leverage your single sign-on. In this case, because everybody in local government tends to be a Google email, I'm going to use this. Alternatively, you can use your user and your password. So I'm going to select the Google single sign-on, and I'm going to select this particular email address, which is associated with this website. So as you see, this is a Drupal 10 website, and the back end looks consistent to our experience in Drupal 9. Okay, so this is the back end. You have your administrative menu at the top, and you could toggle it off and on based on how much space you need to have. If there are places on my site that I frequent, I can add those shortcuts here. And then I have my little avatar here that indicates that I am logged in. And underneath there, you have the ability to view the profile, edit it, or to log out. Now, at the very left top corner, that is where you will toggle that menu off and on, and then you will have these modules at the top, which is a consistent experience to what we had in Drupal 9. Again, I understand that this is a different view for me because I am administrator to the entire platform, so I have additional menus and drop downs that you would not have. These are based on the roles that are given to the different user. If you have questions about what users can do, we have a frequently asked questions section on our website, and there are different descriptions for the different roles that are available, and that will match the level of access that you have to the platform. So again, let me just flip back to our agenda. The first thing that we wanted to do today is to make sure that you are able to authenticate and that you are familiar with the display as an authenticated user. The second thing we're going to do is going to be all in this content module. And if there are questions about structure, we could talk about those. But the first 30 minutes are going to be us going through these items right here. And then we're going to open it up for questions from the participants and see if there are any things that you would like for us to demo. Okay. So once I am authenticated here and I toggle, I will have my silver or gray administrator module for myself. For your guys, it's going to be based on whatever your user roles are: content administrator, manager, editor, or structure, all of these that we are displaying right here on this page. Now, the first thing we wanted to do is to access the media library. And to access the media library, you want to access this module right here. You could click, tap, or select the module. And you would notice that I have a little star. This is something that you could add to your shortcuts, which is going to be in this tab at the top. But a few questions have come through partner support about how the media library looks. And it all depends on the display. If you look at this media library, this is kind of like a folder tab right here. And the one that is defaulted is the one that is for content. Content is where you're going to be able to add basic pages, landing pages, layouts, things that are native to the site, things that you could build. If you wanted to create an alert under the content module in the media library, underneath this content tab, You're going to click on this little pill menu. And on that pill menu, there is a list of all of the different content types that are available for you to build. Okay. A lot of people are asking, where are the layouts? The layouts are going to be right here. And this is an alphabetical sort. I'm slowing down a little bit today so that I can address the most frequently asked questions through partner support, and it is, where are the layouts? So for layouts, which is the brand new content type, that is going to be right here. And we're going to do this one more time. We're going to click on the content module. You could click, tap, or select this content module. The first default content tab of your media library is going to be content. And you're going to click on add the content, and then all of the list of content types available will appear here, including layouts. Okay. And I thought it was important for us to take the time now to go through that, because when you look at the media library, if you do not see additional tabs, because this is a very wide computer screen monitor that I am using for training, you could click on these ellipses right here, and it will show you the other folders of your media library. Now, this is a source of confusion, but our heritage, our previous Drupal 9 had a section of the media library that was named also layouts. And layouts for Drupal 9 meant your templates. Okay, guys? So you will see here, this is the content tab. This is the layouts tab. We want for you to think about these layouts as templates. Okay? In addition, you will have these file folder tabs right here at the top, and these are your blocks. So if in the past you leverage any type of blocks, you will find those blocks in the media library. And these are all of the blocks that we have created in the many years that we have had this cms.colorado.gov. But this is where your blocks are located. They used to be located under structure. Now they are in your media library. So again, the first one is where you will create new content pieces. The second one would be layouts, which are your templates. Then you have blocks. Now for feeds, files, and paragraphs, I know some questions came through our partner support about paragraphs. Paragraphs is where the developers are going to be creating content types for you. So do not worry about this. This appears for me because I have privileges to see this, but do not worry about feeds. Do not worry about paragraphs. We got some very interesting feedback from OEdit, and we're going to see if we could hide this from view and change the label to layouts to be something a little more user-friendly, maybe templates, which is more descriptive. So as I go across, you will see that we have a repository for videos. For videos, we recommend that you use an open embed and bring in the content as an iframe. So I do not have any videos because I have never leveraged videos for this particular website. And then here we have media. And in the media, this is where you can add all of your documents, which will be your accessible PDFs. And if you have questions about accessibility and making sure that your PDFs are accessible, we can sidebar and have that conversation. The Colorado Office of Information Technology has a ton of different resources about accessibility for documents and images, but this is where you will upload an image. It will point to your particular device. And if you wanted to click back and instead insert an image, it will point to your device as well. And once you pull in the image, it will give you the ability to add the alternative text. So this is consistent with the experience that we had with Drupal 9. Okay. At the bottom, we still have the ability to leverage tags. This will create a category, and this is something that I think we could leverage for documents as well. So if you have a number of ordinances, you could use a related tag of ordinances. If it's all agendas, you could use agendas, and this will create a category, and it will provide you with a URL as well. So I'm going to circle back. This is all in the content module, which is your media library. I hope this clarifies a lot of the questions that we have had in the partner support. I'm going to pause here because, again, we have had a large number of questions and confusion, and I'm going to look to the chat to see if there are any questions. Do we have any questions from the team? Okay, I see there is some feedback here. I will circle back, Miguel. I'll circle back with your feedback, okay? I think Alexa is answering these questions. So if nobody has additional questions, we're going to continue. We're going to flip back to our agenda, and we're going to see that the first thing that we hope to do today is to add a basic page. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, from the content, I am going to click into add content. And from here, I'm going to select the basic page. And the reason that we wanted to do this is to show that we still have the ability to have our rows and cards, and that those are located, those tools are available to you. They're still going to be available to you with your basic pages and your landing pages. Okay. So for here, we're going to call this one, today is the 20th of December, 23. And then we're just going to add some sample text. Now, this is the only required field. It is your title field, and the title field, whatever data you put in here is going to replace this information here, where it says node, add a page. That is going to be your URL. However, as we have said in previous training sessions, if your title for your page needs to be different from your URL, we still have the ability to deselect the automatic generation of URLs, and then it will provide you a field in which you could populate whatever you need your URL to be after the colorado.gov/. So that feature is still available. Additionally, from here, you have some settings that are consistent with our Drupal 9 experience. That is the ability to add your menu settings directly from the page level. So when you do select provide a menu link, you could give the link whatever title you want it to be. It doesn't have to be the title. You could edit this right here, and you could select which menu you're going to create the dependency for. If you wanted to play with weights, you could do that here. You can assign the different weights to the menu links. What other frequent question came was about the revision logs. Revision logs are still available. It is a consistent experience from what we had in Drupal 9. One thing to know is that here you have the moderation status for each one of your content pieces. The default is a draft. You could change it to published. Additionally, you could preview your page, and it will provide you that pink background, which is a visual indicator that your page is not published. It's in a draft status. You still have the button at the top left corner that will allow you to go back to the content that you have not yet published. When we move over the CK editor, which is this, what we call WYSIWYG, this WYSIWYG is with the CK editor 5. The CK editor 4 is no longer available to us. So my recommendation is that you just assign yourself some time to play with the WYSIWYG and see what features are available to you and how can you reinterpret what we used to do in Drupal 9 with our new platform. The reason I say that is because our tables are different. A lot of the images, when they are brought in, those functionalities are still there, but they are different. So please take some time to play around with these features. And if you have any feedback, please let us know by sending a message to partner support at www.colorado.gov. So from here, if I wanted to insert an image, I could do that by clicking on the insert media. This will pull from our media library. If I wanted to add an image from my device, I could do the insert image, and it will allow me to insert an image and add the alternative text and indicate if this is a decorative item or not by toggling here. All right. In addition to that, I have the ability to position my image as it relates to the content on the page. And here you will see that this is the original size, but as I drag in the boundaries, it will tell me the size of the image. If I wanted to resize it, I could go back to the original. And again, these are questions that have come to us from the partner support. I have the ability to add a URL to make this image into a call to action, a button of sorts. And then it is indicating, I apologize, it is indicating that the alternative text is missing. So by selecting this, the dialog will pop up and I could toggle it to be a decorative Or alternatively, I could just insert my alternative text here. Okay, so I'm just gonna make this one a decorative item and I'm going to select yes. And then here I'm going to resize to make it a little bit smaller. If I needed to do a return, I could do that just by placing here. And there you have it. If I wanted to do a return at the end, whoops, I keep on doing that. All right, you could go ahead and continue to edit your page. If I wanted to add a link, I could make this, let's do demo.colorado. And there is my URL, and I could go ahead and link. Now, the other way that you could link is that you could link this to your items in the media library. So if I wanted to do the home, it will pull in the media library and it will tell me that this is linking to the home page or to whatever other content I have. Okay, so that is still the same experience that we have, and it's pulling the node from the media library. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the rows so that you can see that this experience is consistent. For rows and cards, we talk about that bookshelf, and then the cards being the books that you will load onto your shelf. If you see here, we still have the same ability, the same capabilities, the same functionality. By adding your cards, you could just do a no-code solution. If you wanted to add a map, you're just the same experience that we had before. And this one is powered by Google Maps. So as I scroll to the bottom, what I want to do is I want to make sure my page is published, because at this point, my content is ready to be viewable by my constituency. And there is my page. This one will link out to the home page because we use the relative path. So it's pointing back there. If I do back in the environment, I will be back into my page. And here is my row with the map card. My footer is showing because this is the main footer. It's universal to all of the pages on the website. And if I needed to edit, I could click edit. I'm going to pause here. Do we have any questions in the chat, Alexa or Dave?
There are a couple of questions, Cecilia, in the chat.
Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. Francie brought up, when I insert from the media library, I cannot resize the image. We did receive your ticket about this, Francie, and have done a little more troubleshooting on it. It looks like the option to resize the image to any custom size is only available when you use the insert image option instead of the insert media option. So we've raised this to our development team as a bug, and we're going to figure out exactly why the feature set is different between those two buttons. So that is something on our radar to figure out. Yep. And then Cecilia Taylor also had a question here. Are we able to add alternative text to maps or videos?
I think if you're adding a video because it comes in as an iframe, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. That is, if you use the area label on the iframe, it will allow you to read the entire, it will allow the screen reader to read the entire iframe, including the alternative text, because that is an iframe and it will be how you're building it as you're bringing it in. For what was the other one, was putting alternative text on maps. That
Videos.
is a Google.
So that is, yeah, maps and videos.
So maps will be already built in because that is a configured block from Google Maps. So the screen reader will go through and it will read the entire container for the map card, be it on a basic page with a map card or be it on a layout with a map block. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping around, but that's what we call the layout builder, has sections and blocks, and then we have rows and cards on this end. I hope that answers your question. Was it Taylor?
And those are currently, yeah, Taylor said thank you. But it looks like we currently have no other questions in the chat.
Okay. To Francie's question, I believe it was Francie who had the question about the sizing of the media library. There are only these options at the moment. So even though it is limited, we do have the ability to do these featured image predefined sizes. So it's different from when we have this one, which is inserting the media from your device, and you could go ahead and resize it from here, and it will indicate the size here. This one, we only have these three, and this is where Brian is saying that there is a ticket with development to see if we can mimic the experience or combine that both uploads have the similar features and functionalities. But one thing that we wanted to bring up is that the CK editor is core to Drupal 10, and it's different from CK editor 4, in which we could have contributed modules from other developers and build it up further. In this experience, this one, this CK editor is core to Drupal, which is the difference there. What that means is that many of the requests that we are receiving may not be possible for us to execute, and we will need to find a solution. But that is not something that we could resolve at the moment, being that this is a core functionality of Drupal, no longer contributed modules that were built and could be edited on a instance like our platform by platform. So I hope that answers the questions that we currently have.
There was another question that came in, Cecilia, saying, could you resize the image using the HTML code for that image? Could you go into the source and change the size of that?
Let's have a look. So this one right here is coming from the media library. So I do not show where you could change it. Whereas here, the one that comes from your device, let me make this a little bit larger because I know that I tend to use a small display. I am so sorry. There we go. Is this better? Okay, yep. So this entity right here, this is the little image of New Orleans that we brought from the media library. And from the source, if you look from here to here, you do not have that option to change from the code. And if I were to change this here, it may not render as expected. However, when you are bringing the image from your device, which is this little snippet right here, you have the ability to make the changes right here. Now, for this, you could definitely just hold and drag to find the width or the height that you are looking for. But again, this is an image that has not been added to your media library. The ones from the media library, those nodes will only respond to these right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and I know that this is kind of like just a sample page, and it's not any rhyme or reason to what is displayed, but for the sake of the example, we're going to go ahead and save. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the revisions, because the revisions, again, are consistent with our Drupal 9 experience. Every single time we hit save on a page, there is a version of this, and these versions are not deleted by the system. They're retained in perpetuity unless you decide to go and delete it. So that works smarter, not harder situation, that if you have a temporary change that has to go up for 3 months or a year, if you wanted to revert to a previous version of the page, that is still consistent with our Drupal 9 experience. That has not changed. If you are wanting to find the items that you are editing, there's two ways to do that. You can edit a page just by clicking onto the media library and viewing the content. When you are in the media library, you have these parameters at the top that will allow you to sort all of your results, including the person who authored the page. So if you wanted to look at all of the material that Cecilia or Brian have contributed to the site, you could narrow your parameters this way. Now, the default sort of this table, and that is all it is the updated field. And by that, I mean this column over here. This is the default. Now, if you wanted to sort, this is again a table, and you could just sort by any of these headers on the table. There's two ways that you can edit your content. You look at the content by clicking on the URL on the link provided. If you look at the bottom left corner, you would notice that it's pointing to node 11791, which is the node that has been assigned to the page that we have created together. Alternatively, and when you are on the web view, this is what we talk about editing the page whilst in the web view, you could just click edit right here, and it will take you to that back end. Okay, and you can make all of your edits to rows and cards and all that jazz right here. Alternatively, when you're in the media library, you could go to the operations column, which doesn't have a header. It's just an operation right here. And you have the ability to edit, clone, or delete the page. When you hit edit, it will give you that back end experience. And we just back in the loop. You can view it, you can edit it. Are we comfortable so that we can move on to the layouts content type? Drupal 10 provided us the opportunity to bring in a new content type that mitigates a lot of our challenges that we have had with accessibility. And we are at the very beginning of our journey with Drupal 10. So what you see today is only going to be improved as we continue to release more code changes in the subsequent months. We have a cadence that we release code changes and updates monthly, usually on the first week of the month, but it is a scheduled part of our process. The layout builder is the new content type that came over with Drupal 10. So I'm just going to call this one testing layouts. My goodness, I have too many. I can do some cleanup. And let me just put the date so that it doesn't yell at me for duplication. Much like your paragraphs with rows and cards, this layout is leveraging similar functionality. The only required field will be your title. Again, the title will replace the node. If you did not want to utilize the same title field to populate your node, you have the ability to deselect or just go ahead and pop in the new URL here. So in this case, you don't have to deselect the generate automatic URL creation. You could just specify here what the path will look like. Now, a few things. You have the ability to leverage a featured image here by pulling items from your media library, or you can select a file from your device and it will have a similar experience to when we're pulling in an image from our computer in the rows and cards experience. Here in the body, it is, let's do some sample text. Oops. And here the WYSIWYG is going to be the same WYSIWYG that we just experienced in the rows and cards. So all of those questions that we had about inserting media and tables and accordions will still be the same experience that we had in the rows and cards because the CK editor is the same. One thing that I want to point out is that when you are working on a layout, the default is to be published. So if your content, and I know that this is very important when we're making edits and we're wanting to do work quickly, that we hit save. But in this particular case, when you're creating a layout, you want to make sure that you do not have it published right away unless you're ready to publish it. You still have the ability to preview, and you will also have that pink background to indicate that this is in the draft. You can always go back, and then you could go ahead and save. Once you have saved, you will notice here that you still have this pink background. If I wanted to publish the page, I could go back into the edit. Then I want to select this, publish, and I want to make sure that I can see it again and it won't have the pink background. Now, you will see that the layout function is added between this delete and the revisions. We just did our basic page and we had edit, delete, revision, clone, and usage. The layout is where you're going to start to leverage those sections and those blocks. Okay, and you have a dialog here. Just make sure that you familiarize yourself. And if you have any questions, please let us know. We know that this is a new feature, but we're confident that this is going to mitigate the accessibility issues that we have had in the past. Okay, so you have to make sure to save your layout at the top. In the previous version, we always save things at the bottom left corner. If you execute any changes, make sure you come back to the top and save your layout on the top, this ribbon right here. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down and I'm going to make my display a little bit smaller so that you can see that there is a blue border around the area. And you would notice that the first area that has a little dashed line and allows me to drag up and down is section 1. Section 1 is your body. To edit section 1, you want to go up to the ribbon, you want to edit, and you want to make the changes just like we did with the basic page where we have the body and then we have the rows and we have the cards. Okay, guys? The ability to add a section is by using these at the bottom. You can import one from your library or you can add a fresh section. When you're adding the sections, this is kind of like adding a row. This dialog will populate and it will allow you to select how many columns you want to have on your particular section. So this should become familiar. It's kind of like rows and cards, but it has different labels and different functionalities, okay? Now, a single column will go from boundary to boundary of your display. I do have the ability to have 2 columns, and once I select the 2 columns, I could determine the distribution of the column. So if I wanted for my columns to have similar to Drupal 9, 1/3 and 2/3, that will be my 3367 breakdown. Okay, and I'm going to select this one for this example so that you can see how it looks. And I'm going to go ahead and add the section. Now you will notice that I have the first section here that could be configured. It could be deleted. This is my first section with the dashed line. I'm going to scroll down. This is the section that we are looking at. And when I'm adding a block, you will notice that this little boundary shows that this is 1/3 and this one is wider for my 2/3. This is the configuration for the section. I have the ability to select a content block, or I could just build a simple block. You will notice that previous blocks that have been created are listed here. So if there were one of these that I wanted to pull from, I could pull these. But for this exercise, we're going to create a content block. And I'm going to do a basic block. So think about this like your basic card. Now, once you're here, you want to make sure you provide a title. And I do not want to display the title in this particular case, but I'm just going to put some sample text. Alrighty, you will notice that I have the same CK editor functions here. So you can add an image, you can add anything from your device, or you could point to the media library. Okay, here is your table, and for table functions, those I'm going to add that one for the example. Here is your table. And then here, if you wanted to merge the cells, you can merge cells. You have all of those functions here. This will be the header for the table if you wanted to leverage that. And we have the ability at the bottom to then format content. So this style that you will see underneath your WYSIWYG is background color. These are the colors that we have used in the past. They're the same colors coming over. I have the ability to apply a border with different weights. I can add a rounded border here, or I can add a shadow. I'm going to add a medium shadow so that you can see it. You will notice that the bands on the tables are still there, so this has not changed. We have those white and blue banded tables, and we're going to scroll to the bottom and we're going to add the block. And here is my block, and there is my shadow. Not sure that you can see, but at the bottom, there is a little bit of a shadow on my block. Now, I want to add a secondary block here. And I am going to add, let's go ahead and add a map because these are very useful. And then on the body, I'm going to leave, but I'm going to put here our street address in the event that you want to visit with us. And I'm not going to add any background, a border, or none of the features for styling the block. I'm just going to keep it as it is, and I'm going to add the block. Now here, I have the ability to add an additional section if needed. I'm going to X out of here. what I wanted to show you is that these little blocks can be moved. Once I place my cursor and I get my 4 directional arrows, I can move the block. And this block here, I can move over to the other side. I can actually move this up and I don't have to recreate the row and the card. So this is allowing you to work a little bit faster without having to recreate blocks and all that jazz. So I'm going to move this one over here and return this one to its original location. One thing that you notice is that the distribution of the cards remains the same. If I wanted to recreate the distribution of the cards, I could just add a new section or just change the distribution to be equal columns or whatever the display calls for. So here, remember, I have unsaved changes. The button is not at the lower left. It's going to be right here at the top. And now that I save it, it's going to give me that web view. And from the web view, you will have all of these options. If you happen to miss any of these, please let us know so that we can further investigate. If you are missing your layout tab from your authenticated user view, reach out to us so that we could troubleshoot and see what is the root cause for this issue, okay? And I'm just responding to things that we have seen in partner support so that we could truly support all of our users. Do we have any questions so far?
There's quite a few questions in the chat, Cecilia.
Go for it.
The first one being is, do you know how to add footers to the bottom of a layout page?
To the bottom of the layout page, let's have a look. So I'm going to go into layout and let me locate the bottom here and let me add a section. Let me add a single column. And then here for block, let me see if it will allow me to pull from the blocks that I already have. So this would be similar to us adding an alternative footer when using a landing page. And that is a wonderful question. I do not show it pulling here. Let me see if it will allow me to import from my library. Testing footer will be my, let me see. That is something I have to circle back because this functionality should be that we are able to pull in from our footers, from our blocks that we have already created. And I do not show my footer. Let me see if footers will allow. This is to configure a footer block. Brian, do you mind getting me the customer's name so we could circle back, and in our next training session we will add that to the agenda, because there is a function to add the footer, but I don't see it pulling from the footers that we already have. And let me explain. In the content we have the blocks. So what I am pointing, or what I am trying to point to, is this block main footer. This is the footer that we are leveraging in on the home page and all the subsequent pages. So that is something that we had not explored, but yes, this is the footer here at the bottom that we're trying to point to. Do we have any additional questions?
Yeah, there's one here from Francie. I'm not sure if I'm 100% following, but I'll just go ahead and say it. Inserting images from a folder versus not adding to the media library. Wouldn't this open the door for broken images if the location of the image moves, like with any other CMS? This could be problematic if images are not uploaded from a team folder source, and if the owner leaves. If Drupal 10 operates differently by storing the image within Drupal, please let us know.
Yes, that is what we recommend. The ability to upload the image, it will attach the image to your files. You should be able to point to the image here. So these are those Unsplash images that I have been uploading, what we do recommend for our users is to always leverage the media library and always add your media here so that we could have that node. And it will maintain the integrity of the site for precisely what you are, that scenario that you are describing. Now, a temporary folder or not a temporary, an entity will be created for your images when you are uploading them from your device. It will be in your folder for files. But again, with everything in the CMS being PDFs, we do not recommend that we add those folders or those files to the page itself. We are recommending to leverage the media library always or as often as possible, because that's how the CMS was designed. It's designed to point to the node. Including our Jumbotrons, I don't know, Brian, when you used to train, and Sunny, we do not recommend Jumbotron now. We prefer for the user to create a Jumbo slide and then reference the Jumbo slide in the Jumbotron so that those connections and the path is consistent and there is integrity moving forward. So yes, we show it because it is available, but best practice for us will be to leverage the media library always or as often as possible.
And then another question. Oh.
What was that?
I was just saying, yes, that's what I thought, but like there's more flexibility with inserting the image so you can size it, but then that path is going to be troublesome if it's not uploaded to the media library. So
yes, ma'am, that is totally right. Thank you, Francie.
And then another question we have in the chat, do the sections create landmarks for screen readers?
Landmarks for screen readers. That is a development question that I have to, let me jot that down. Oh, Brian, can you jot that down for me? Because that is something that is in the accessibility special, we have me for that. I have to reach out to Barry Laughlin to answer that because that's an accessibility specific question beyond my specialty. So sorry, I cannot provide an answer. Just jot down who's asking so I can circle back to them.
Well, and I don't see any other questions. Sonia, we'll circle back on the footer and how exactly we can get that added back into the page. Oh, one new question just came in from Scott. Is there a way to preview in layouts?
I believe so. Let's go into testing layout content type. So let's pretend that we are editing and adding items. Let me scroll to the bottom because there should be a preview function here, unless I am not seeing it. Show content preview. Huh. Am I missing it? Show content preview has been selected. You know what? Let me see if this is a feature that is a button that is not currently displaying, because the function is here to be previewed, but it's not showing. Am I missing it, Brian? Do you see it anywhere?
No, I'm not seeing it either.
All right, let me take a image of this real quick. And who reported this? Was this Scott?
Yep, Scott
All
Schroeder.
right, thank you, Scott. I'm gonna get back. I'll circle back with you, Scott, and with this team as we continue to have these training sessions so that I just took a screenshot so that we could create a ticket for our developers to have a look, because there is the functionality of having the preview, but I do not show it. That is brilliant. Thank you so much, Scott. Good eye. If I go into edit, here's the preview, but it's, yep, there is a preview on the edit when you toggle back to edit, but there isn't a preview on the layout. Does that make sense, Scott?
Got a yes in the chat.
Okay. So I'm back into the edit. It is a draft moderation state. And I am hitting preview and I should have a pink background. And then I can go in and I can use my pencil feature and I can make edits here. So the answer is yes, but it's not displaying on the layouts view. It is displaying on our basic layout view here. All right, you know, I'm gonna definitely create a training guide for this because this is a little bit different than our previous experience. All right, do we have any additional feedback or questions? Feel free to raise your hand. We're hoping that these are more like open hours type of collaboration sessions, like what it's blossoming into being. But yes, if you have any additional feedback, Brian, from the chat, let me know.
There is one more. Peter said all of our sites Jumbotron and featured images are zoomed in since the change. It sounds like having these images in the media folder instead of uploading them directly would fix this issue. Is that accurate?
Well, that is the top priority that the developers are working on at the moment, because we have noticed that not on my site, not on cms.colorado.gov, but some other sites, there is an issue with the how the images are displaying. So we have all of and I think it's about maybe a dozen or more sites that have reported this issue, Peter. So this is our top priority. We have explored downloading all of your pictures and uploading them again into the media library, and we still haven't found a solution, but we have a scheduled change weekly for these bugs that we have identified, and we should have resolution shortly. I wanted to ask Peter if you have reported this to partner support. It would be helpful if you send us just an email to say, this is my URL and my Jumbotron is not rendering as expected. That way, whenever the change goes into the production environment and the fix is across all sites, we could circle back to you directly. We could send you a message. And this is also true for all of your reports to partner support. We close it out by sending you a message directly saying this has been fixed and we ask for you to test. Does that help, Peter?
Yes, and he said he did report that a few weeks ago.
Okay. What is the agency?
That is with Town of Nederland.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's on the list. We've been looking at that one as well. But it's not yet resolved. It's one of our known bugs, and that's top priority, all of the images.
Perfect. And that was the last of the questions I had in the chat.
All right. Do we have feedback from our leadership in Tyler Technology? Anybody on the call that has any feedback? Dave or Alexa?
Not today. Just thanks for the training and appreciate everybody's participation.
Thank you, Dave. Brian, am I missing anything? Alexa, anything?
Oop, there's a couple more that just came in.
Go for it. Go for it. We still have time.
Left side navigation. Can one be created to a page that already exists?
Could you read that again? Left side navigation.
Yes,
Can it be
left
added?
side navigation. Paula, confirm with me, but is that just you're trying to add it to a basic page or something of that sort?
That's right. So we are updating our website and we want to include navigation on the left-hand side. And instead of creating all these web pages from the beginning, can we simply go into these pages that are already created and add the left hand or the navigation to the left side?
Yes, I think we still have that. Give me 1 second. Because this is a basic page, and for the display, you can reference a menu to the left or a menu to the right. So it's not going to be on your right-hand side where we create the link to have a dependency of a parent-child. That is on the publishing part of it. For rows and cards, we had the ability, and we still have it under the display tab, to scroll towards the middle of the page right here. And here is where you could go ahead and reference it either to the left or to the right, depending on what the use case is. Or, I mean, there's no limit. You could put one on both sides if that's a need for that. But that is something that has not gone away. And this is also true for a landing page. So this particular page that we just created today for this example is a basic page. But yes, Paula, you could just go ahead into the display tab and you can even put the main navigation. Let's see how crazy this looks. Let's go back to edit, and I'm going to say
So is
it
this
to see.
only for, is this only for the basic page and not landing pages?
No, this is also true for a landing page. So let me show you real quick. This is on the basic page. I'm going to edit. I'm going to go to display, and I'm going to reference. Let's do the main navigation, and I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to save it. So that is my navigation on the left. It will look similar on the right. And then let me find you a landing page that I got Humpty Dumpty later on. Let me find a landing page right here. And we're filtering by landing pages. Let's go into the contact us, which happens to be a landing page. I'm going to do edit. And then on my display page, display tab rather, I'm going to do, let's do the right since we just did the left, right? And then it is published, and let me save. And just give me 1 second. And then here, as I scroll to the bottom, you will notice that the menu is at the right. And since this is something I don't want to mess with, I'm going to revert to the previous version, which is this one here. Yeah, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to clean this up so that when you guys do visit this page, and like, what did Cecilia do? She messed up the page. So this is an example of how you revert to a previous version of a node. Yep. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you. So the left navigation that I'll be creating will be for the web pages within that landing page for our offices. Within. Yes. Okay. Okay.
So what you want to do for that is, so under the structure, if you go to menus, we kind of prefab, we threw in there a bunch of menus, just 1 through 10, right? And Paula, if you need a one-on-one, just, you have my link. I'm happy to do that with you again. Let's go ahead and create a menu or edit a menu. And here you can add all of those links, and then remember the tag that, not the tag, the title that you're providing the menu, and then you can reference that from the drop down on the display tab within your basic page or your landing page, whatever the use case is.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You saved me so much time.
No, just get, I'm out this week, but just the link that I had sent for availability, when I'm back in the office, just schedule a one-on-one. Let's not suffer silently. That's what we're here for.
Another question we have in the chat, will buttons be added back to the WYSIWYG?
Again, buttons is another one that we're looking at because the buttons are not, the WYSIWYG is CK Editor 5, and it doesn't have the flexibility that CK Editor 4 had. So this is something that we have discussed with the entire Drupal development team, and this is something that we will need to explore with Drupal. How much can we add back into the Drupal 10 CK Editor 5? So at the moment, if you do, I could create a little snippet and send it to you on how to create and add the button. But again, we don't have that function at the moment. We're still exploring if that is something we can add. That is similar to the featured the images and the features for the sizing. It's also the same with the table properties. So we have a list of things that we didn't come over in the CK Editor 5, and we're still exploring how can we make that experience comparable to what you had in CK Editor 4.
And then we've also had a couple questions in the chat about when we will update the user guides and videos that are available on cms.colorado.gov with the changes in Drupal 10.
Yes, and that is my, I've been wanting to do that forever, but this is still a very dynamic process in which the layouts are still being built out, right? So our goal at Tyler is to make sure that with the beginning of the year, we have the ability to kind of see where things land and start to create that content so that you don't have to attend this one-on-one to have your questions answered, and that we have a guide that will be disseminated through all 515 agencies and users. So yes, it is what I have been wanting to do for the longest, but once the dust settles a little bit that the that the content will be consistent, then yeah, I'll be more than happy to make those updates. But it is coming. My number one thing.
And then just to verify, we are making these recordings available on cms.colorado.gov, right, for these sessions. It looks
Yes.
like somebody took a look and there aren't previous links to those videos. Are those in a particular place, Cecilia?
Those I have to bring over because the previous one for some reason was corrupted. And Brian, you helped me
Okay.
decipher it. So I am,
Yep.
we had some technical difficulties with the previous two sessions because the file from Microsoft Teams, just to be 100% honest, was corrupted. So we're trying to make sure that the content is salvageable. And we have a YouTube page for Tyler, Colorado that we use, and then we will upload those there and then make the link onto the CMS website. But yes, the previous two sessions, those files were totally dark. It didn't even have audio. So we're trying to see if we could retrieve it from Microsoft Teams and redo that process again. So I do apologize.
And then we also have kind of a bug report about noticing that anchors cannot be edited. It sounds like they need to be deleted and reinserted rather than edit existing ones.
Oh, we haven't, that's not a known bug to us.
Mhm.
Could we ask the customer, the client to put it in through partner support so that we could test it and create and see if we could recreate the issue and provide it to the developer to look at?
Yeah, if you could do that, Jennifer, that'd be great.
Is it Jennifer Hickbuff?
Yep.
Thank you, Jennifer. Would it be possible for you to send me the URL, the node that is being impacted so that we could recreate the issue and write the card for our developer team?
Sure, I can do that.
And if you have any screenshots, the more information you could provide us for these tickets, it helps us facilitate for the software engineers to find the solutions.
Okay, great.
I'll be looking forward.
And it sounds like Francie put in another ticket about tables and accessibility concern around that. So we'll look at that through partner support. Thanks for putting that in, Francie.
Yes, we're looking at tables. Brian and I had like a 45-minute session looking at tables and trying to suss out if there were any things that needed to be presented to the developers. So yes, tables are very present. We've been playing with those for a while. We're out of time, and I really appreciate having this large number of individuals here on a holiday week. And know that we are a resource to you. So should you ever have any questions, any feedback, the offer is always there. My availability link is in the signature of all of my emails. If you don't have my availability link, I'm happy to forward that to you. But again, we appreciate you sending all of the feedback through partner support so that we could filter that, see if it's something that the project management team could fix or something that needs to be just, forwarded to our Drupal development team. We really appreciate these conversations. We want this to be a collaborative environment in which we identify how can we improve Drupal to meet your needs. So again, these are going to continue on biweekly, the same cadence throughout the end of first quarter, and we hope to continue to have these in this fashion. If there are specific items that you want, just send that over to partner support, and we will then continue to develop these trainings. But the things that we are showing you are a reflection of what is coming in partner support. I don't have anything else for the group. Again, thank you so very much for being here. I wish you a happy holidays and a wonderful new year. And I'm going to open it up to our leadership. Thank you so much, Brian, for taking notes and monitoring the chat. So yeah, do you guys have anything for the rest of the group? Going once, going twice. All right, guys, I will see you in 2 weeks for another training session. And thanks again to the Tyler, Colorado team for being here in support of these calls.
Have a great holiday, everybody.
Thank you. You too. Happy holidays. Thank you.